As you can see, I'm not a happy monkey today, and the reason I'm not a happy monkey is because I just filmed 5 of these films and I didn't switch the button on the microphone, so they all recorded without sound. So at the moment I hate myself, but I hate Dennis even more because he's not here to do all of this stuff for me. Step 2. There we go, where are we? Step 2. The sellers create plans linked to their customers' business plans. The buyers develop their own strategy and plans. And so we have a presentation, very interesting presentation here. A presentation to create curiosity, open the door to further meetings that will explore specific needs, pains and problems. And maybe as a result of a value statement and/or an acquisition campaign. Let's say, for example, you've just completed your Step 1 presentation at a big hotel and there were 150 people there, and after the presentation you spoke to a whole bunch of people and one of the guys said, you know, come and meet me, I'm very interested in this, let's speak more about it, and is the focus going to work on my camera, and yes, and you've got somebody and they've said come and speak to us about this, yeah? So you've got a business card, it's got a bit of data on the back, and you've got a little bit of, you know, research that you can do in terms of website and background and company history. That's a Step 2 presentation, yeah? Let's take another example. One of your call agents, or you ran a call campaign internally, and this call campaign threw up a couple of opportunities, and so you've got a meeting in the timetable for a date, and that's also a Step 2 presentation, even though you haven't done Step 1 with them, yeah? So you've not done Step 1 with either of these 2 examples. You haven't actually gone through the whole process of, you know, really understanding their business need. But you've got a presentation which is designed to create curiosity and open the door. Open the door to further meetings, meaning Step 3, but also open the door for the permission to actually engage in Step 1 activity. So it's quite a cool presentation because it's got 2 different directions that can go from it, or 3. Number 3 is you lose and you disappear and you go by, say goodbye, and you are never seen again. You're miserable and depressed. But number 2 is you move forwards into a Step 3 conversation and start developing need. Number 1 is you move backwards into Step 1 and start understanding the customer's business. So you do such a good job at the presentation where they say, okay, well, maybe that's not interesting for us, but I still want to get to know you and get to know your products and services because there's stuff that you may be able to do for us at a different area or level. Okay, so that's the type of presentation where we are. Yeah. So challenges behind this presentation, you know, you're going to be going into somebody's office. Let's look at the acquisition campaign one first. Somebody's done a cold call. You've got a meeting in a timetable. That meeting may be set for a week after the call, which means they're going to remember, hopefully, who you were or who the call agent was who made the call for you. But it may be 5 or 6 weeks, which means very likely you may be walking in completely cold. I've been to meetings which have been set up by call agents. They didn't remember who the hell I was or anything. I've turned up and I say hello, and they say hello, and I've got a meeting with you. Yes, I know, and who are you, and what is all of this about? And no, I don't remember, and oh, you're the nice person on the phone, and oh, dearie me, and did I really accept this meeting, and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, so that's sometimes the reality. Maybe that's just my reality. Let's face it, Tim, it could just be, you know, your sad stories, but you know, it could be that, you know, they just don't remember. Could be that the need is gone. Could be that somebody else accepted on their behalf. Yeah, all of this stuff could be possible. But it could be that they do remember, and they know what's going to happen, and they've got a good expectation of what to expect in this presentation, which would be great. Yeah, but this definitely means that you know, before this meeting, you've got to give them a call and say, okay, looking forward to meet you, unless you feel concerned that they're going to say, oh, actually, no, I don't want to meet you. So just go and meet them. Prepare well. Yeah, you've got information on the business card, you can do some step one assumptive work. You can make assumptions about the plans that they're going through and the problems that they've got. Yeah, you can link those problems to your product capability. There's lots of stuff that you can do, but the presentation needs to be short, snappy. It needs to be to the point, and it really needs to be focused on creating this curiosity. So using the value statement as a way of positioning this presentation may be a good idea. Using the original slides that we used in the acquisition campaign, good idea. Yeah. Let's say this presentation happens as a result of the exhibition or trade fair. Then your natural, obvious first step is going to be to discuss that trade fair and what the outcomes of it were and whether it was interesting for the client. Again, speaking a little bit about your experience with their industry and using your step one knowledge. And then into the presentation, same thing, value statement, looking for the curiosity, focusing on the potential pain points, and keeping it short, sharp and snappy. Challenges, other people in the room. Yeah, quite simply, if there are other people in the room at this stage, they've got no idea who you are, you've got no idea who they are. Do you want to spend big time on introduction rounds? My approach is basically no, not really. You're in a service mode at this stage. You want to give them value, you want to give them that value quickly, so not too much time spent in introduction rounds. And the dangers of these other people is that they don't know why they're there, they don't see any value to why they're there, and so there's a lot of creativity involved in this type of presentation. This is definitely a presentation that should be done by sales, not by pre-sales. Yeah, even though pre-sales very often are asked to do this type of presentation because very often it's based on a product or a service, but I fully suggest that sales should have the knowledge to do this kind of presentation on their own, or at least taking pre-sales with them, so that if it moves in the right direction, then they can bring in the product expertise when it's required. So is that. The other type of step two presentation, of course, is where you have an existing customer and that you're involved in a project and you're doing follow-up and review on that project, and you say, I've got something that I'd like to show you, and it's a corridor pitch, and they say, that sounds really interesting, let's get a couple of people into a room and see what it looks like. Yeah, so that's a great kind of presentation opportunity. There's no pressure there. You're purely there to deliver value. You say, guys, we've worked together in the past. I've got something great here for you. Naturally, I'm not sure if there's a need in this direction, or you do know that there's need in that direction, and you're possibly working with a bunch of supporters, or at least people who know who you are and what you're capable of, etc., etc., etc. That's another type 2 presentation or step 2 presentation that I can see. Practical recommendation, this presentation type should be done standing, not a seated presentation. Step 1, step 2, standing presentations, even if it's just for 1 or 2 or 3 people. Get a beamer, get a projector, put the distance between yourself and them, because when you're standing, there's a bit of distance between you and them, which means the pressure's off to a certain stage. As soon as you sit down with them, then the psychological pressure comes on in a slightly different, way. And I personally, I think the customer should have every right to step back from a step 2 presentation and say, thanks, Tim, very interesting information, but not at the moment. And you want to be able to step out of that elegantly, which is a little easier when you're standing than when you're sitting. But that's just my personal opinion when it comes to standard or seated presentations at this stage. Okay, so I think that's pretty much all that we have to say about step 2 presentations, other than the fact that you can be quite pushy if you like. You can be very direct with step 2. And you don't need to spend too much time on detail and stuff. Just go to the value, and create curiosity in any which way you can. Good luck, have fun. It's a good one.